Bossy.
I know.
Okay. So, scooching closer, Cheri.
Good morning and welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew here on 1160 AM, KBDT News Talk Sports. And as always, every Tuesday at the 8:34 mark, we have a segment of JP, Kathy, and the crew that we are just so proud of, and that is our mental health moment. So JP, let's talk.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This is Nina Blackwood coming to you live.
Yes, JP has been drinking whiskey and smoking really old dry cigars.
Or gargling barbed wire.
Yeah, that was what you and John David Well were saying earlier, and it does sound like that. So we're excited about rusty barbed wire.
Oh, you're saying rusty old barbed wire.
Yes, so we're excited about today.
Well, mental health moment, of course. We have partnered with the Morgan Foundation and Something for Kelly Foundation to bring us experts from around the world who will chime in on mental health, chime in on eating disorders, chime in on addiction, chime in on
bipolar, depression.
Programs that may help all these folks, right? And we have a very, very special guest in studio today. She's got an awesome story.
She does.
All by herself and what she's doing.
Right. So our guest today is Cheri Garcia. She's a very dear friend of ours and a personal friend as well. Cheri's story is really remarkable. Up until now, JP and Kathy, we've always had experts come in, and subject matter experts, research scientists, doctors. Today we're doing something a little bit different. Cheri is herself recovering, and she understands all too well that recovery is a big journey, a large process. I'm going to let Cheri start by telling a little bit about her background, and then we'll go right into your journey in the process.
Yeah, of course. So thank you guys for having me. I actually have a staffing agency for second chances. So my career is helping people coming out of prison and people in recovery finding meaningful employment. What I didn't know is that I was pouring so much into these people that I was filling myself back up with some vodka. Lots of it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Cheri, hold on, Cheri.
And wine. I don't want to leave anything out. And whatever else I could get my hands on.
Some people would tell you that that's okay. That's cool, man, as long as you can control it.
Yeah, and that's a dangerous word for us alcoholics.
Control it, right?
Yeah, we love to try it. First of all, that's why we became alcoholics, because we're trying to control things that we can't, and it messes with us, and then we end up drinking to escape from our just insanity of trying to control things. So of course it's natural. We try to control alcohol. That's what we do. I'm only going to have 2. I'm not going to drink tonight. How many times do you say I'm only going to have 2 and you end up blacked out? Well, I don't know. They're like, I don't know.
Blacked out too many times. I don't know.
Well, I will say that
Patty, don't make fun. We're having a serious conversation.
Cheri
started it.
Yeah.
Are we from the same generation or what?
I need counselors in studio right now. So, Cheri, in all seriousness, I mean, it's a dangerous world. Thinking you can control alcohol. Can't keep track of how many times you black out. You know, what about the one that is the constant drinker? The one that drinks from the time they wake up until they go to bed. And it seems like they are managing it. How dangerous is that?
I think it's all dangerous. You know, sometimes we get in trouble when we start comparing alcoholics and severity of the alcoholism. Like, you know, sometimes another alcoholic will come up to me and be like, well, you're not as bad as I was. I was drinking in the mornings because I was shaking and I had withdrawals. You only drank, you know, a couple of times a week, but when you drank, you drank. And that's true. Yeah, when I drank, and I got in the car and I drove.
Yeah. Wow.
So if I, you know, as an alcoholic, an alcoholic is somebody who can't control their alcohol once they start drinking. So whether you binge drink once a year or if you're drinking all day, every day, there's still going to be consequences and it's still bad for your health.
When did you start drinking?
Oh my gosh, probably. So I did leave out a really big part of why I started my organization to help people coming out of prison. I actually used to be a drug dealer and I was a drug addict. So in high school, I actually tried a pesky little drug called meth, also known as ice. And I did it every single day for 2 years. And I went from being on the cheerleading team, pitcher of the softball team, to barely graduating high school and in the strip clubs every other night selling drugs and just going to really bad parts of the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
So you grew up here in the DFW area.
I did.
And if you're listening and you're in your car and you're not seeing this on social media, which I encourage you, this is an important segment to share, and please share. We'll make that our Facebook feed shareable after this. If you were to look at this young lady, I mean, first of all, she's gorgeous. I was like, oh, she's beautiful, gorgeous, a sparkle in her eyes, professional, articulate. I'm listening to what you're saying, and it doesn't compute. I'm looking at you thinking, there's no way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I've started sharing my journey. So, especially with methamphetamine, it's a very embarrassing drug because of all the faces of meth type things that we see and the ways people make fun of quote unquote junkies. And with my recent struggle with alcohol, of course, being the founder of this company, it was very hard for me as a leader to come out and talk about my struggles. But what I did know is that had I seen somebody that looked like me, talked like me, was in the same profession like me, also an entrepreneur, going to networking meetings, dealing with the social pressures of alcohol and still not drinking and sharing their experiences, I might have got sober a little earlier. So I decided, I did get a DWI, which was a huge stab in the heart. Having a company that helps people coming out of prison and then being arrested.
Well, was that your rock bottom? Like they refer to, there was that moment where you're like, I've got to do something.
Yeah, you would think that it was, but I still found a way to drink around that breathalyzer.
Wow.
Because, addiction does not discriminate. I think everybody, sometimes I hate the term rock bottom because there's a lot of people who get sober who are attorneys. I know I'm friends with them, or really successful business owners. And their reason to get sober is, I was starting to have suicidal thoughts and it just wasn't working for me and I had to get sober. And that's it. And sometimes those people can easily relapse when a rock bottom conversation starts because they're like, well, you know what? Maybe I wasn't that bad. Maybe I didn't have a problem.
So is that a term that people should stay away from?
I wouldn't say that. I'm never going to be one of those people that's like, hey, don't use the word felon because it's rude, and don't call people addicts. Because I'm over here, me and my crew, we're just like, people will talk about, I'm a felon, I'm an addict. We just speak the truth. But I'll never be that person. I'm just saying, I know for me as an addict, the disease will come after me if I start talking about what was my rock bottom or how bad of an alcoholic I was, because it's so easy for me, even though I got that DWI, it's so easy for me to be like, well, a lot of people drink and drive and I just happen to get caught.
Right.
And maybe
or,
now
I know lots of people who have DWIs, kind of a thought.
Now that I'm almost a year sober, maybe I can control it now.
Speaking of sober, we talked about this a little bit. Cheri, you're 10 months sober right now. And actually, depending upon how you want to count it, maybe 6 months because of the work that you're doing. Talk a little bit about the challenges of your first year of sobriety.
Yeah, so the reason why she says 6 months is because it wasn't, I got sober on Christmas Day. I woke up and decided to give myself the gift of sobriety. And that truly is the gift that keeps on giving. But I did not go into a program or start getting into quote unquote recovery. To me, recovery is like the decision to really, work a program, and we have to take it one day at a time. We can never say we're giving up alcohol forever because that will just freak us out. But around 6 months, I decided to really get into a program, really start analyzing what caused me to drink in the first place. So I feel like I'm only 6 months sober right now because the emotions are just insane of working through the trauma in the past and those reasons that I may have drank and figuring out, why relationships went the way that they did. So Christmas Day, I quit drinking, but I would say around the 6-month mark is when I really started to look into my addiction and my disease.
As you're processing this, Cheri, talk about some of the challenges of staying sober day by day. What is it that might present a challenge for people in their first? You talk about the first year being especially challenging. At least that's what others have shared with you.
And yeah, I'd hate to know that any other years are going to be more challenging. Because this has been a really challenging year. I would not recommend anybody in early recovery to, 1, tell their story to the world, 2, help people coming out of prison while they're doing it, 3, have a startup trying to
So you did everything you would not recommend.
I do not recommend the path that I
The
took.
ultimate overachiever is what it sounds like.
Absolutely.
I mean, wow.
I would not, but I don't know. It just, I really have a strong relationship with God now, and sobriety gave me that. And it was put on my heart by God to start sharing my story now, not later. And I prayed and I cried and I was like, but God, let me get a year sober under my belt. And that was because of pride. I wanted to say, I've been sober for a year. By the way, this is how it's been. Instead, at about 6 months, I was like, hey, listen up, world. This may be a surprise to you guys, but I've been struggling. And I'm 6 months sober, and it's the hardest thing I ever did in my life. Just to FYI, and everyone was like, wow, I thought you were just a meth addict. I'm like, I'm an everything addict, apparently.
That's another thing. She's an overachiever. She's going to be addicted to all manner.
If I'm going to be addicted, I'm going to do it.
I'm doing it right.
Congratulations on your addiction.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me, what does your program do? And how do you engage that community to help them out and get better and get where they need to be?
So I had started like I said, in 2007, I conquered my meth addiction without a program, without any recovery. It was just like, I'm going to be done doing that. Now I'm going to go be successful.
Do you mind us asking, for the crew's listening purposes, how old are you?
32.
Oh, my gosh.
Isn't it amazing? Kathy, when I first heard her story, too, I thought the same thing. I thought, you're acting. You're playing a role. You didn't really do all this, because how did you physically survive and end up?
I don't know. I guess that's God's grace.
I was going to say that's God's grace. Absolutely,
the grace of God. Yeah, that I have all my teeth.
Well, and that's what I'm looking at
my
you.
family is from
you've
West
got
Virginia.
You've got this great smile and this sparkle to your eyes. I'm still just stunned by this.
Right, but I want to get back to the question.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Squirrel.
Lots of squirrels out there.
Squirrel.
No, I mean, because we need to help people engage in this kind of program. So
yeah.
So
important. Whenever I conquered meth, I ended up a mentor had told me, hey, Cheri, have you heard of the prison entrepreneurship program? And I was like, no, that sounds amazing. And for me, entrepreneurship saved my life. That's what got me out of meth addiction. I decided to become an entrepreneur and invent a product and just go crazy with overachievements, which obviously led to alcoholism, but we found that out later. So I started helping these guys in prison with business plans, and a couple years later, I started getting Facebook friend requests from people with neck tattoos. And I was like, oh, I guess they're out now and they need help starting their businesses.
Right.
Well, I'd go to the halfway houses and sit down, and we couldn't even get to the business plan because they were so shaken up that all they had was a couple of dollars, an ankle monitor on their ankle, no driver's license yet, no car, and they're being told they need to get a job within 2 weeks by their probation or parole officer, which, by the way, if you want to go to an interview, it has to be pre-approved. It was just so much constraints. And I was like, wow, this really sucks. Let's not start a business right now. Let's focus on just getting employment, but not just any employment, meaningful employment where you feel like you're working towards a goal. Because I know when I got off meth, even though I didn't get any help or go to rehab or work a program, looking back, it was plain and simple because I had a goal and I was sharing my journey with others. And I was inventing a product and getting into the newsroom. I did both. I got a job as a news person and I was inventing a product. So again, don't recommend it. But I knew that following a dream and hitting small milestones and sharing it with people is what kept me on that path. So I'd look at their business plan and be like, okay, so you want to start a restaurant. Well, let's get your foot in the door at a local restaurant with the founder who's about second chances. And maybe they'll allow you to shadow them and you can learn the ropes and move your way up. So what Cornbread Hustle what we do is we find different companies who are very second chance friendly and we place people.
And we'll talk about that when we come back. We are JP, Kathy, and the crew today. Nina Blackwood sitting in for JP. We'll be right back after these messages.
We don't have headsets.
This is, oh my gosh.
So
I'm blown away. I mean,
so
yeah, you are doing God's work.
When we come back, some of those companies that are working with you, how do people get into contact with you?
Okay.
Because this is a very short segment.
And Facebook can still hear us. And also, God, we need another hour.
We need 3 more hours.
Yeah, we need to bring you
I
back.
can't
Well,
talk.
and if there's somebody right now who's struggling
I'm
with,
a killer. We don't
I
need
think I'm
another
addicted,
hour.
but I don't know
can't talk.
what's that first step that you take.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I know we've only got 6
Well,
minutes. We can
we
have
got
it.
6 minutes.
We're still streaming live.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
let's have her talk right now.
We'll have her
So answer. The
Okay,
question.
yeah. If somebody's struggling right now, what's the
Yeah.
first step? I mean, the first step is to seek help. That's what I wish I would have done. I didn't.
Where do you seek help? I mean, you know, I mean, there's the obvious AA, and you hear commercials for this, that, and the other. Do you talk to a friend or a family member, or who do
You know
go
what?
to?
I learned talking to a friend is not always the answer because I'd get reverse intervention. I'd tell my friend I think I drink too much. She'd be like, me too. Let's go get a drink.
And talk about it.
Yeah.
Acadia Healthcare.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's another place to
That's
reach
where you
out.
can go
Yep.
get help.
That's another place.
Also the sponsor
Yep.
of the Mental Health Moment.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You know what? I would absolutely, without a doubt, hands down, if someone's listening to this right now and if you think you have a problem, you do. Number one, if you think you do, you do. It
Right.
just is what it is.
What it is. Right.
Because
That's the
it
question
doesn't
you're
matter,
getting to.
even if you think your 2 glasses of wine a night are too much. If you think it's too much, it
Then
is.
it is.
Because
Right.
it's affecting you
And
to
because
think
you're
about it.
I was gonna say it's part of your noise in your head.
The absolute first thing that I would do is I would just get on the computer and search AA meetings near me and walk in. People there, oh my God, they love when somebody new. They love fresh blood. Walk in and just say it's my first time here. What do I don't even know what to say. And they just take you in and they love you and it's a support system. And, you know, there's just so much support out there for people who are struggling right now. And especially there people like me who have been through it and understand all we want to do. Other people who are surviving the fight every day, we love addicts because we know the pain that they're going through. So there's help out there. There's all kinds of different even a Facebook group you could join. We do at Cornbread Hustle, we have a software that's called Freedom 365.
Right.
And it works you through everything of getting sober and tip videos. So if you're too scared to like reach out to help or talk to anybody, there's also do-it-yourself softwares. But I've learned that connection and community is like very.
So there are Facebook groups like you see political discussion groups or moms groups or
Yeah.
pet lovers.
Yeah.
Or dogs
There's
groups.
sober groups
So-
where you
well,
can
that's
get
good
in
to
there.
know.
Yeah,
That's
you
really
can get
good
in
to
there.
know.
There's one I really like called SOBAR, SOBAR Basics or something like that. I think it's a
Okay.
lot of people in the restaurant industry, which I'm like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
That's like being on a diet working in a bakery.
Oh yeah, you know, yeah. Like my brother, he smoked his whole life. Well, he's a DJ, and he's like, okay, so when I'm spinning and I'm in a bar, I'm gonna smoke cigarettes. So when do you ever quit? Because that's just part of the culture, kind of a thing. So it's just wow. Thank you for sharing your story,
Oh,
and everybody,
absolutely.
please share this, and then we'll have the mental health moment from Steve's son that'll be broken down
Right.
for just this segment.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't have to see us opening up all
10
the gifts for
seconds.
Chip. Sorry, we're a little bit silly on the show.
It's okay.
4 seconds and we're
You want to come in?
Morning. It's currently 8:54 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Your weather outside is crappy. Way
Oh,
bad.
can you say that on the radio?
Yes.
Can we say that on the radio? Oh, I don't like that
Oh,
talk.
look.
We've got two beautiful
Oh,
ladies in
whatever.
studio. Oh, whatever. Talk to the hand.
52 and a half years of age with unicorns surrounding her. Talk to the hand.
It's a good day. And beef jerky. And Dallas
No,
Cowboys
I don't
cup.
care about the beef jerky.
And
Unicorn
Dallas
girl.
Cowboys
Give me a break. The weather's nasty outside. High of 66 today. Clouds, possible showers. Do be careful. Traffic is horrible out there. And accidents popping up all over the radar. Do check and look into what's going on your roads before you start your commute.
Leave yourself plenty of time.
52 and a half year old unicorn lover. Anyways,
I don't
So back
think
to
you're
our
acting like
guest.
that's an insult. It's not.
It is. It's horrible. It is.
Back to the important ladies who are in
So-
studio with us.
Talk to us about some of the second chance companies you work with, how people can get a hold of you, how do they qualify for the program to try to reintegrate so we can stop the recidivism rate
Mhm.
from increasing and maybe we
Mhm.
can decrease it.
Yeah, so it's been amazing. As you guys know, there's been a little bit of a, I don't like to call it a trend, but we definitely have seen an uptick in interest of second chance hiring. One, because of the First Step Act bill, which was passed, but two, unemployment rates are so low right now. It's at the lowest it's ever been, and turnover is high. So companies are having even if they don't have a good heart and care about second chances, they don't have a choice.
They need people to hire.
They don't have a choice. And they're like, okay, well, if the economy is so good and we can't find people to get to work, maybe we should open up our talent pool, which is 30%. Wow. By the way, 1 in 3 people have a criminal record. 1 in 3.
Wow.
Yeah, 30% of our entire talent pool are second chance hires.
Wow.
So companies are having no choice. I have companies that reach out to me because their son, daughter, mom, they have a story of their own and they want to give back and use their leadership to help with second chance hiring because someone in their family struggled with addiction or incarceration. Or we have people reaching out because they say, we need people and we need them now, but we need to use your process because we don't want to bring in anybody who's going to do something really bad. And that's what we do at Cornbread Hustle. We have a vetting and interviewing process.
And Cornbread Hustle, how do people get in touch with you?
cornbreadhustle.com, and
Okay.
they can apply online, or if an employer wants to hire from us, just send us a message. But everybody always assumes that just because we're a staffing agency for second chances, we only have people out swinging hammers for blue collar work.
Right.
We've successfully placed somebody who does medical IT coding, computer programming. We've placed people and they're making 6 figures, but we've
Wow.
also placed people in the $10 an hour jobs where they're outside doing manual labor. And that's one thing we definitely don't ever pay under $10 an hour because we just feel like it's cruel.
Right.
So everything for basically how I started, where I was going into halfway houses and saying, what's your dream and what's your passion? And let's reverse engineer and start there. That's what we do at Cornbread Hustle. We say, if you could do anything in the world, what's your dream job? And we just figure out what's the best path for them to employment.
You were saying something to me earlier about some of the staff that you have that are PhD level that are able to work with HR departments. Talk a little bit about that. You've really got a lot of talent yourself on your own staff.
Yeah, so we brought in some talent. They're not on our staff working with us every day, but we partnered with a company that has PhD level experts that talk about addiction in the workplace, because it's one thing to come in. A lot of people think, cool, I'm going to use Cornbread Hustle. I'm going to get cheap labor and they're going to be loyal and they're not going to quit on me.
No. Yeah.
It
Best laid plans.
Yeah, I mean, coming from somebody who's a year in recovery
Right.
only, and my up and downs and emotions, I can tell you that we require a little bit different of an environment. So you also need, if you want to be a second chance employer and you want to do it right, not only should you use a service to make sure you're finding the right people, but you should definitely consider some tools and training for workplace environment for people who are in recovery or coming
Right.
out of prison.
Thank you so much for sharing your
Cheri,
story.
this is
God bless
great.
you.
Thank you so much. And everybody's right. We do need more time with you. So
Yes.
maybe she's a really important CEO now, so I don't know if she's going to have time for us, but she was very gracious with her time this morning.
All right, on behalf of Something for Kelly Foundation, the Morgan Foundation, and JP Kathy and the crew, another mental health moment. And thank you, Nina Blackwood, for being here today and being a part of the show. Love your voice.
Oh.
So much so, I decided to imitate it. Yes, maybe not.
Oh, JP.
Maybe so. Everybody have a blessed day out there. Be safe. The roads are going to be nasty. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
My teeth.
Okay, so you can
Your teeth
talk. You can talk to the. We're still on Facebook Live, so if you want to give a wrap up again, how do people get in touch with you and all that good stuff?
Cool. Hi, everybody on Facebook
and
Live.
Look right up there.
Hi.
It was so funny. I was sitting here and I was going to go over the hand signs with her, and I realized she's
She gets it.
She gets it. You know, that's handy. Was that as fun as it sounded, JB?
Yeah.
Having done that a few hundred times.
Yeah.
Oh, John David Wells, will you take a picture of us and then don't? I want you to. Well, first before we get off, first talk about Cheri. Please again say how people get in touch with you and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay.
Steve, come be in the picture.
Right now?
Yep.
Hi, Facebook Live. Would love to hear from you. I know I'm trying to look at it, but I'm also trying to smell for a picture.
So, but that's the only camera we have.
She cares about this one too.
Here we go. All right.
Thank
Will you
you.
take one from the front, right where you're standing on this one? Thank you.
That's a pretty big jar. One more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
smile.
I like your frames.
Next
Yes.
week on the mental health moment, we have
Tell the
Ms.
Facebook audience.
Benita Halliburton from the Grant Halliburton Foundation. She's done some wonderful things here in North Texas that has expanded throughout the state and
amazing
nation as
stuff.
well. We're going to be so thrilled to talk with her about teenage suicide and mental health, and just want to spread the word. Cheri, thank you so much. You were an incredible
Thank you.
guest here.
You did. Seriously, can we? I know y'all are booking us up solid, but we need to have her back in.
Superstar.
No, yeah, superstar.
Telling the story. She's an open
So,
book.
Yeah.
Kathy, do you still want her to tell how people can get in
Yes,
touch with her?
please. Thank you. Thank you. For
I'm sure everybody's been holding on for that information.
Yeah, everybody's like, wait, I can't go to
They
work until
are.
she says how to get in touch.
Yeah, just www.cornbreadhustle.com. Or if you Google Cornbread Hustle, trust me, we're all over the place. I'm a loudmouth and an overachiever, so we have news stories and articles everywhere. So I'd love to hear from anybody that would like to reach out. Thank you for listening.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Love the mental health moment. So important. All right. Bye to Facebook. And then JP, will you be back on Thursday? John David Wells will probably be filling in for us tomorrow. Well, we'll be back in on Friday.
The
All right.
reason why I was
Love
asking
y'all.
is
Uh-huh.
maybe we should have Damien come in here and just get some clips of regular conversation.
Okay. If I can't, if you're okay with it.
What now?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
I'm traveling. I have to get on a plane tomorrow.
Damien, what do you do?
After I'm trying, wait, hold on. I'm trying to do this with my left hand. Let me shut this down real quick.